Hi, it's David Krayden here. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting the station. We could not move forward without you. I want to point to another poll here. Yeah, and you can see Trudeau is declining in popularity. And what we're going to do today is remind you why Trudeau is becoming more and more unpopular. Regina, Saskatchewan, April 13th, 2023. And he's at another one of these town halls, He is constantly doing town halls where people look very uncomfortable sitting in the front row listening to this man drivel, verbalize drivel. And all he does is just pat himself on the back and refuses to take responsibility for any of the catastrophic decisions he's made as prime minister. And he thinks he's going to get a softball question like he usually does from reporters, although he's getting more and more targeted questions now from the Ottawa press corps because they're getting tired of him too. But he thinks this guy in the audience is going to give him a real softball question, and he asked two zingers actually. And just watch the contempt that Trudeau displays towards this black man. I'm not necessarily saying it's all to do or even has something to do with race, because I think Trudeau has contempt for everybody. But it really is embarrassing to see him belittle this poor man in front of this audience to make him look like try to make him look like a fool, although I think Trudeau's the one who looks like a fool. But let's watch this.
Another question. Yeah, let's go with you, sir.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I'm glad you touched two things about Ukraine and Russia. I have two questions to ask. One is about Ukraine and Russia.
First of all, what's your name?
Sorry. My name is Michael. I'm a student at the University of Regina doing international studies, majoring in international affairs. So, Mr. Prime Minister, Canada is traditionally known for advocating for peace. I know we are a member of NATO, but I know we don't have nuclear weapons like any other Western countries. In 2005, Canada initiated a responsibility to protect R2P, which became a global commitment under UN to protect against genocide, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and crimes of humanity. Why has your government failed to draft a peace proposal to end this war in Ukraine through diplomatic channels than becoming a part of a Western American hegemony, knowing that this is a proxy war between United States and Russia, which has resulted a lot of people dying? And my second question is about immigration. I know Canada is an open country, brings everybody in here, and I'm speaking from a policing perspective because I'm a member of Regina Police Service, and I know what the first responders are struggling with, most especially immigrants from the global south. So you bring immigrants over here, but there's nothing enough to integrate them within the society. Some of these people come over here with so much mental issues, but we kind of just throw them on the streets, and we don't actually teach them how to, to learn how to, to integrate within the society. So some of the problems that I meet on the street is most immigrants that are struggling with mental health that have not been oriented within the society, that are becoming actually a systematic problem for everybody, for the healthy issues, policing, and all that stuff. Some of them are not taught about or educated about the law. They fall in trouble, they catch a criminal record, and they'll never turn out to be anything. So what is your government doing to actually be able to put so much within immigration so that these people can be integrated within the societies? Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Michael. Your second question first. On immigration, we have extraordinary community organizations, and extraordinarily generous Canadians who are there to support new arrivals. I think of Open Door that I first visited for the first time about 10 years ago here in Regina, and the great work they're doing. And it's not easy. Listen, leaving everything you have behind you, particularly if you're leaving in a situation of trauma or war or conflict or discrimination or fleeing for your life. Yes, once you arrive safe, you're going to be filled with guilt that there are family members back home that you haven't been able to save and who are still going through difficult things. And it's hard. Is it snowing outside? Yeah, it's snowing outside. Okay, so you came to Canada and it's snowing, and we just had a few beautiful days of So there are challenges when you come to Canada, and we need to do a better job, absolutely, of integrating and helping people succeed. But I also know that it's something that we have succeeded at over generations. The waves of immigrants that have built this country over the past century. Yeah, some of them faced very, very difficult times. You can talk to Greek Montrealers or Italian Montrealers and talk about the horrific discrimination that some communities that you wouldn't think would be discriminated against were discriminated against massively in the 40s. Think of the Komagata Maru or the St. Louis. Moments where ships were turned back because of racism and institutional racism in this country. We have a lot to learn, but we also do a better job than many. And there's lots more we can do, and the particular challenges around mental health are very real today that we need to do more on, but we will continue to do that as a welcoming country. On your first question, I'm going to have to call you out, Michael. You're completely wrong about the war in Ukraine. It is not a proxy war between the United States and Russia right now. That's Russian propaganda and disinformation. And my job is to call that stuff out.
Now, this is just laughable. In the first place, Trudeau is the one dishing out the disinformation. He's the one shutting down Canadian news, independent news. He's the one with a trilogy censorship legislation. It's coming in 3 parts. 2 of them have passed. The 3rd one's coming in the fall. He's the one trying to shut down the internet. He's the one who doesn't think you should even be allowed to hear the news if it's news he disagrees with. And to say that that's his job, he's somehow shutting down Russian disinformation. He's not allowing Canadians to even know what's going on in Ukraine.
And we knew they were going to be able to fight to hold off this bully. And one of the reasons we knew is because since 2015, Canadians have been there in Ukraine training up their military to be able to tackle, take on, and turn around that Russian army when it showed up. But it's not just about Ukraine. It's about standing up for the values that underpin this country.
Lies. We're not fighting a war to make the world safe for democracy. That was a big lie in 1914 and again in 1917 when the United States entered the First World War. And it's a big lie right now. Ukraine is not a democracy. Volodymyr Zelensky is not a democratic president. He is putting religious leaders in jail because they disagree with him. He's exercising the same kind of censorship that Trudeau exercises here in Canada. So this is not about any sort of upholding Canadian values, unless those Canadian values are what Justin Trudeau thinks they are, which are censorship, gender ideology in the schools, and creeping corruption. If that's what he thinks Canadian values are, then that's what they're fighting for over in Ukraine. That's what he's upholding. So this is nothing short of nonsense.
So no, this is not a proxy war.
It's exactly what it is, actually. Yes, it's a proxy war, and it's going to escalate into a 3rd world war. If NATO doesn't give its collective head a shake and stops feeding the coffers. The armaments industry is making a killing, literally, off of this war, just as it had in the First World War, a completely useless, unnecessary conflict. that consumed the lives of millions and the treasury of Great Britain and other countries. That's what happened. And so Trudeau can say he can talk all he wants about this being some higher cause here. It's nonsense.
This is a moment where democracies get to look around and say, this matters. Which is why, as a country, we have clearly said, and will continue to say, we will be there to support Ukraine and Ukrainians with everything they need for as long as they need.
So we're going to feed the war as long as possible, because Ukraine cannot win this war and will not win this war. It's quite clear. And Trudeau is saying he's going to bankrupt the country. He's going to steal from our own military. He's already given away Leopard tanks that got destroyed already by the Russians. He is cannibalizing our own military to send it to Ukraine so it can perish in flames. Is that what he means by we're going to keep doing this for as long as it takes? Well, we're going to get rid of you as prime minister in less time than that, hopefully.
Until Vladimir Putin loses in this exercise.
Not going to happen.
Thank you, Michael, for your question.
Oh, thank you, Michael, for your question. After he's belittled this man, humiliated in front of this crowd, he gets a little applause factory going. They say, "Oh, I never get it wrong. I'm Justin Trudeau, and you insignificant twit, you don't matter. You don't even have a voice in this conversation because you disagree with my Ukraine policy. You want the war to end because it's killing people and it's consuming so much money. And it's a waste. We need peace in Ukraine, not continue to feed this military machine until Putin loses. It's not going to happen, Justin. What we're trying to do every week here is bring you the news you might not see everywhere else. And we're coming against Justin Trudeau's internet censorship laws. Please subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't done so already. I know it's annoying to ask. Believe me, I'm not a salesman. I'm a writer. But I really implore you to do that because I need this station to keep going. We want to keep bringing you the news that you want to hear. And if you want a story covered, let me know, please. Because that's where I'm getting a lot of news information from your tips. So thank you for being there for me. And you can also support this station by going on my Substacks and subscribing for $8 a month. Yes, I know it's free, but I can also use your support. So please do that if you can. And I'll continue to be here every week, every day if must needs be, to tell you what's really happening in this world of ours. And I'm in nobody's pocket. But I am on your side.